Alright, we know guns don't kill people. People kill people. However, we're able to maintain and manage how people obtain firearms, then we can lower the gun violence and the death toll caused by guns and acts of shooting. We can really stop or really drastically lower the massive shootings that are happening. Because as gun sales go up, the number of massive shootings, like elementary school shootings that have been happening, all these movie shootings, all these just random public events of mass murders, all of them would stop or be drastically lowered if we could just manage the number of guns going out into the populace.
It's recognized that the numbers of mass shootings support the cause of gun control.
1 minute.
It drastically raises the safety risk of innocent civilians, and it's just vital that the American people understand their boundaries with acquiring a firearm so that this country and all American people can be truly safe.
What Brandon and Cody are both trying to say is that there is an equal positive correlation relating to the amount of guns given to the public and the amount of deaths caused by guns. Not only that, it just serves as a safety risk, even by accidental firearm shootings.
When there's guns out, just risk, it's more of a risk. I mean, if there's more guns in the house, there's more opportunities for someone who shouldn't have a gun.
Okay.
Or some.
So as you guys are saying, the more guns people can purchase, the more chances there are someone to get hurt. On that same note, the more guns someone has, the more of a chance someone has to defend themselves. Say if someone breaks into your home and threatens your children or your family or your safety. Now, in all honesty, if someone wanted a gun to shoot someplace up, they're going to get their hands on it, regardless of the gun laws.
30 seconds.
And also, as you were saying, aside from the, your statistics and everything about the school mass shootings, wouldn't it be clear and safe to say that most people that acquire these firearms that went and killed all these people in these shootings has some kind of mental illness or some kind of personal disability in their mind that caused them to hurt all these people? Take that into consideration and think about that for a second.
1 minute to respond.
As you were saying, you said people, if someone was to break into your house, what would they be breaking into your house with? Probably a firearm. They would be using a firearm or some kind of weapon to break into your house. So if they can get a gun to break into your house, if you just eliminate the fact that they can get a gun, or if you can manage the fact that they can't get a gun because they have a criminal record of something like that, then you don't even have to have your own gun to protect
30
yourself in
seconds.
the first place. And also, these people who have mental illnesses, that should be taken into consideration when you're distributing firearms or people are purchasing firearms. If someone in your household has something that's a mental illness, then you might want to manage or not let them know how to use or how to get a firearm to prevent things like that.
Time. Okay. Con, this is when you get to present your initial argument.
Civilian population in the world with an estimated 270 million total guns, which are outlawed as lawful. The only thing that you have to worry about is children getting a hold of it. So what you need to do is either lock it in a safe or a metal box that you can put a lock on. And 194 children have been shot and killed in America in 2013, with the gun being out in the open. I think it's okay to carry firearms around if you have them in the car, but I don't think we should have the right to bring them into public places. And openly carrying a handgun in Virginia is lawful. The carrying of any concealed firearm by a person is hidden from common observation is prohibited. The only time should be able to use a firearm in public is if a law enforcement official asks you to use it because they need help with a crime.
like to represent to the pro side here. Those who are in favor of gun control may use gun control statistics to that are already disproved or outdated, while those who are against the control of firearms may employ similar strategies. These sometimes can be misleading, because why would you defend the sick people that want these weapons that bring so much pain in the world, like Trayvon Martin, for instance, who was murdered for absolutely no reason because he had a can of, or a bag of Skittles and a can of Arizona.
Okay. 1 minute to respond.
Sean, we were listening, you said something about kids being unexpectedly murdered. Well, it's not necessarily, it's the fact that those kids were murdered. Yes, because the guns were open, but that's the parents' problem. It's their responsibility to
30 seconds.
It's their responsibility to lock up their weapons, and it's their price that they have to pay when a 4-year-old finds the weapon, firearm, and plays with it and accidentally ends his or her life. That's not the government's problem, that's the parents' problem, and that's their responsibility, and that's the price that they have to pay when that murder happens.
Brandon,
Okay.
in response to what you're saying about the parents' responsibility for their kids, owning these fire weapons, you think it was fair for the 37 students at Virginia Tech to be murdered when their parents had no control of it whatsoever?
Do you think the parents had any choice when the kids got shot at Sandy Hook Elementary? They couldn't help them at all.
I think the point they're trying to make is that, yes, it is the parents' responsibility to put away the guns, but of course, any smart, responsible gun owner would know that it's obvious fact. Anyone here who owns a gun probably keeps their weapons locked up
Time.
somewhere safe.
Okay, right. So Crow, you get to continue to build your argument.
They mentioned the Sandy Hook shooting. The Sandy Hook shooting was a tragedy, and it was actually caused because a person had a mental illness, and there were firearms in the house, and they told the mentally ill person that they told them the combination to the gun safe, so they were able to access the guns on their own, which is irresponsible for someone to do. So it leads back again that if you have a mental illness, you probably should not have firearms in your house.
Okay, I guess this relates to what our topic really is. We're not saying that we're eliminating guns altogether. We're saying that we're managing guns, meaning that we're keeping a safe amount of them there. So it doesn't matter if there are guns out there. We're just trying to make sure that there's not enough that someone will get killed. The amount of ammunition within the clip and the amount fired and purchased, that's exactly what we're trying to manage. We're also trying to focus on people with mental illness, like you were focusing on, so they can't get access to a weapon legally. We can screen for that, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Instead of having all these guns in circulation, all this ammunition, we're trying to lower that amount just so that if somebody does get their hands on it, it's not that significant amount that tons of children will die, just as you said in the statistics.
I'd also like to just say the statistics I cited were from USA Today polls done in 2013.
Time. All right, 1 minute to respond.
I guess I'll go first. Oh, did you already start the minute?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I would just like to say that, like both the examples, so they said about mental illness, I mean, that's exactly what we're saying too. So, I just wanted to say, like, as a response, and I'm a little confused because you're supporting our claim that we're trying to manage firearms by looking at background checks.
30 seconds.
Yes, it'll be helpful if you could actually kind of explain what you guys said. But pretty much, we really need to make the process of acquiring firearms extremely difficult, but 100% guaranteed. We need waiting periods. We need much deeper background checks.
Okay, 1 minute to respond.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to the ghetto, but it's a very dangerous place, and there are a lot of former criminals back there. And yeah, if you made it, there are some who are trying to completely turn their lives around, and say they don't have a firearm because of their criminal background, which they are totally just trying to forget and put in their past, and their house gets broken into by another criminal who has illegally purchased firearms. You don't think that kind of, screw the guy over? All because of the stricter background check?
30 seconds.
In conclusion of what Isaiah was saying, basically, I think most of the reason people have guns when they're out there is just to keep themselves safe, because there's a lot of bad people down there. And even though people have guns inside their house, someone's gonna break in, it's only gonna take half a second to take that gun out and shoot that person who's breaking into your house, because it's self-defense. And they're just trying to protect their family.
Oh, time.
All right, Pro, 2 minutes to continue to build your argument.
As you stated, about the ghetto, I am from downtown Atlanta. I lived there for about 4 years, so about the ghetto, I know all about that. And the background checks aren't just gonna be like, oh, you got arrested for something that you did when you were younger and you can't have a firearm. We're talking about violent crimes for background checks. If you murdered another person, or you assaulted another person, and you were put in jail for 5-10 years for that crime, why should you be allowed to purchase a firearm, which would make repeating those acts just that much easier and that much more tempting for you to just go back on? If you're trying to turn your life around, you don't need those kind of influences that would just be able to just turn you around. Because if you attack one person with a knife, and you go to jail, you get a firearm, you can easily attack 3 to 5 people that much quicker.
1 minute.
I just like to state a statistic by the Brady campaign, which says that 32 Americans are murdered every day by gun violence, and it's just saying that America itself isn't necessarily the greatest place when it comes towards domestic violence. Usually it revolves around having a firearm. Proportionally, America
30
has
seconds.
a much higher violence rate due to the firearms that are in circulation at the moment, and the ammunition being released in such high qualities. We're not saying that we want to lower the amount of guns or anything like that. We're just saying we don't need assault rifles and deadly weapons of that matter in order for protection. We can have firearms, just not to the point where we can use them as a small militia for ourselves.
Time.
Okay, 1 minute and Sue counter, ask some questions.
I only got one thing to say. People die every day, and it's really not gonna make a difference if someone's getting stabbed or shot. It's just gonna make the rate of people dying even increase, and it's really not gonna change anything, because if you look around the corner, there's someone dying, and my parents grew up in South Boston, Massachusetts. They saw people get shot every single day, and people were taking out guns just to protect themselves. So,
30 seconds.
Imagine how much larger that number would be of people who die unfairly by the use of guns if they did not have something to protect themselves with. Probably be a much bigger number, and a lot more people would probably get hurt.